Before we jump into today's conversation, I want to thank the sponsor of this episode, High Level. One thing I believe, whether we're talking about mental health, leadership, business, is that unnecessary chaos steals your energy. The fewer things you have to keep track of, the more present you can be for the people who matter. That's why I've partnered with High Level. It's an all-in-one platform that helps businesses manage leads, automate follow-ups, schedule appointments, send emails and texts, and keep everything in one place instead of juggling 5 different tools. If you're building a business or you're ready to spend less time managing software and more time doing the work that you actually love, check out the link in the description or go to gohighlevel.com/reset. Now, let's get into Sunday Reset. What's going on, everybody? Back again for another episode of Sunday Reset with Will and Friends. And today, my guest is, my inner white boy is going to come out saying her name, but Valeriya Hjertenaes. Did I say it right?
Yes, Hjertenaes. Close enough. Cool. Hjertenaes.
Hjertenaes. Hjertenaes.
Yeah.
She's a PhD in organizational performance, a keynote speaker, a podcast host, and the founder of 5E Enablers Method. Through her work, Valeriya helps leaders and organizations better understand the power of neurodiversity, sustainable leadership, and human-centered performance. Drawing from both her academic research and lived experience as a neurodivergent leader, she focuses on helping people make better decisions, build resilience, and create environments where diverse perspectives become a competitive advantage. Valeriya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Will. It's so big honor and privilege. And yes, I have been doing my homework. I've been listening to wonderful shows, which basically, last 3 days, I was sitting cross-stitching and enjoying so much. I don't remember how many times I could cut myself. I just stopped. I was like, oh, what? And then backwards. I have to listen to that again. And then again, I'm continuing. And oh, really? No, stop. And then goosebumps and almost tears. I was like, oh my God. And this guy I'm looking so much for to. It's true. And that's why I'm here now. I would like to thank you so much from all of my heart. First of all, for you being you. The second, that you are giving me the most precious commodity. It's your time. It's your full focus and presence, because now actually you are totally mine, in which meaning, we're always multitasking, right? With this and that and do, but now this hour, or I don't know how much we are going to make this magic, but I think this is the most important about podcasting, that we are really present, we are here, and actually we are cross-pollinating each other on so many levels, like energy and knowledge, insights, everything. So thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you, Will.
Well, that's already just now I'm on this high. I don't know if I can beat that. So thank you so much for the kind words. And it's always nice that, people are actually listening intently, and it means a lot, especially in today's world where we're all so busy. And I feel like a lot of times with content, you're kind of listening to stuff in the background. You do kind of wonder, do people catch everything? So it actually melted my heart a bit to hear that you caught something up. No, I have to hear that again. That's the idea that anyone ever does that with anything that I've put out or my guests have talked about. That means the world to me. So thank you for that.
And I've joined it so much. Yeah, and it was I felt this so much reaction, and for me it's also it's really true embodiment, really. And because I have shared already with you before we push this button, actually, that English is not my mother tongue, right? I do speak several languages, and sometimes in the all these languages, they're battling and dancing, and I am kind of very visual. I have to have subtitles. That's why I always make sure that I really understand every word I put, and then yes, back, and I have to read and kind of also reproduce in my brain, and then I even can see the reaction on my body. So thank you so much for those beautiful episodes. Like I've told you, I've seen with Scott, but also with this powerful girl from Australia when you shared your story, because you guys were I'm on your show, I'm in your show, it was so cool. I love it so much, this energy, fantastic. So just keep going, never underestimate, never even one single word or guest or show or minute. So please just continue. It's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. And actually, you said an interesting word. You said underestimate, because that's where I want to start today's conversation. Is clearly you have a passion for neurodiversity. You've got a PhD in performance around it and centered in sustainable education with it. And I want to ask you about that, because I do think when people hear the term neurodivergent, their brain naturally goes to, oh, this person has some type of like almost like learning disability or something like that, as opposed to where you want to take it to a more like, this is actually a competitive advantage. Can you talk a little bit about like what you mean by that?
Thank you so much, Will. The challenge is that, yes, I will try to talk a little bit, not much, because, I know God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth, that it's actually right. It is for the purpose. We have to listen twice before we are speaking, but actually, you know what? Neurodiversity. It is quite a new term. Actually, it was coined by Judy Singer in late 90s, actually in 98 in Australia. She was a sociologist, and she was encouraging people to acknowledge and recognize that neurodiversity is actually, we are talking about natural variations in how our human brains wired and how we function and how we process this world. It's not from the approach of disability or disadvantage or lack of something, but actually she really challenge the traditional view that neurological difference they are pathological, right? And instead she really frame it that it's a difference, it's cognitive differences, it's how we perceive this world, like our fingertips, they're different, right? And it's okay, we are not ashamed, we are not like feeling our guiltiness or something. We are 8 billion people on the planet, and our DNA are also different. Every single person has, right, different DNA. It's also, and look at biodiversity. Nature always has all the type of answers, right? And biodiversity basically can be possible. It's thriving and surviving because of diversity. That's why we are still thinking that neurodiversity is something really immediately from point of view that it's lacking, it is in lack of something, right? So actually, neurodiversity means diversity of brain, cognitive diversity. It is a powerful and colorful rainbow of our brains. But still, I know, like, since centuries and decades, everything, it was always interpreted like something strange or maybe scary or fearful when when something is different, right? Because we are built like this. People, everything we're approaching from the lens of love or fear. So different, oh my God, if it's different, we're always like, okay, what it means. We are reacting in body, in our reaction, like first different, it should be, you should be alert. But neurodiversity, now we are talking more and more about this. I'm so happy that it's raising awareness everywhere, right? And not just from deficit-based model, but also that we can really, when we adjust, when we know about this, when we manage it professionally, we can turn it into super creative fuel to acknowledge it can be also superpowers. But it's not easy at all, because still everything around in our communities, teams, workspaces are built for neurotypical peers, right? So it is a long way to go, but I'm so happy that not everywhere, of course, it's also cultural aspect, but in some cultures, it's more and more normal to talk about that without prejudice, stigma, taboo. But in some culture, like I made in Soviet, when I started experience my intrusive thoughts, because I'm OCD neurodivergent, oh my God, it took so much time for me to talk to myself and acknowledge that actually there is something at that time, I believe, was wrong with me. Right. So yeah, so we should never, like, you are so right, underestimate actually what kind of even language we put around that so many years it was just medical language, and it's very harsh language. It's disability, disorder. But now I'm also advocating through my work and passion, everything, about more affirmative language, that actually not just like from the base that, okay, you have disability. I said, no, it's not disability, it's possibility and plus ability if you know more about this, what you should do with it. So yeah. So neurodiversity, like I said, it's a natural variation. It's how our human brains process and process the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I think you touched on a really interesting point there, because what flashed into my head was there's a quote in the Dark Knight series from one of the villains, and they said, "You always fear what you don't understand." And I think that's where a lot of like the stigma, a lot of the taboos you were referring to, it comes from, is that I think a lot of people just don't understand. They don't understand because it is thinking about the phrasing, it's neurodivergent. It's divergent from what their typical might think. And I've always viewed it more that, granted, I'm not from an academic background. This is not something based on research. It's just my opinion on what I've seen. I want to see the science get to a place where we all realize that it's a spectrum and we're all on it. And it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's, instead of it looking like you all over here in this bucket are normal, you over here are not normal, you are divergent. It's literally just a spectrum of you are this and you are that. And it can be anywhere in between. And that's where you fall. And the important part of understanding it is the better you understand where you fit on the spectrum, the more it can help with your ability to learn. Would you agree with that?
Yes, thank you so much, Will. Absolutely, that we are all on the spectrum. That's why I'm also saying and advocating that neurodiversity, it's not weakness, it's mental uniqueness. It's your basically cognitive uniqueness. Like I already mentioned, it's not disability, possibility, or plausibility when you really know about that. And also, it's not disorder, it's disorder. Different order, as much as you actually open to learn how you can co-create, coexist naturally, coherently with that. Instead of let me be completely honest, when I figure out that there was something wrong with me, right? Of course I was so scared, and I put all my energy, efforts, and health and everything to be quit and actually to live in the state of resistance to it, right? That I've been using like all my cognitive battery to beat those intrusive thoughts, like to really stop having them. But it's not actually possible, because as much as you try to push them away, they are taking all your space. It's the same like try now close your eyes for a couple of minutes and not think about pink elephant, right? You can never ever do that, because actually you will be doing everything your brain like to avoid not to think and of the pink elephant. After 2 minutes, actually it doesn't matter what you will be doing, you will be seeing everywhere this pink elephant. It's the same with intrusive thoughts. You cannot actually put the energy to push them away, because then they're like hitting you harder and harder. And I had no idea for almost 17 years when I started getting them first of the time, because then basically they're everywhere. But if you know, and now we know more and more from neuroscience what is going on actually is the brain. It's still brain, the most complicated organ we have. We still don't know so much, right? And that's what, of course, it's scary. But I'm trying to advocate and even talk to my kids, because I have adopted 2 kids for many years ago. One of them she's really neurodivergent from Ukraine. And we have very open house where we talk and discuss it a lot about mental state, mental issues, mental awareness. Because then like for 2 years ago, I've been for 4 weeks in mental institution because it was really severe episode for my OCD, depression, anxiety. And my kids now, they turned 17 years. They knew everything. I was completely open with them. They were like visiting me there with my dog. And I'm so happy and I'm so grateful that we are keeping this open subject at home. And now this winter, my daughter, she started experiencing some problems like mental challenges. She's 16 and a half. Like depression, anxiety, and even kind of suicidal tendencies. And I was so happy that before she started doing something like self-harming or, maybe going to the friends or something, she actually came to me and said, Mom, you have always told us that we should not be ashamed. It's not like to be in the guiltiness position that we have something that actually we feel kind of there's going on in our head. And she said, I feel that I'm like depressed and I have this suicidal tendency and thoughts. And she's like, I believe I need help. Can you please take me to the doctor? And I was so proud, that because I was so open to talk about that. And then she said even so many friends of hers, because they cannot disclose at their families, at their homes, that then she asked me, Mom, can I take them to our house and you can talk to them, that actually it's not a shame to be, it's okay to not be okay all the time, especially for teenagers. Oh my God, they are bumped all the time, all these sources, social media, what is really doing to them. So I feel like really pity that how they can navigate all this noise 24/7, of course, their brain like sometimes on the edge all the time. It's like cognitive overload all the time. So yeah, I don't remember now what was the question, but like we have this conversation with the flow, right? So I mean, like mental health, we should really talk more and more openly. I think that it is the right approach how we can talk to our kids, talk to our friends, peers at working spaces more and more. So yeah, it's exactly what I'm doing now by being myself actually and sharing. I also, I'm hosting podcasts. In every single episode I'm boldly honest about actually my experience, and I can see the profound change that people also feel like more relaxed, shoulder also to open themselves what they're experiencing. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same experience. It's funny, like people hear the title of my book, which is called One Step Forward, Ideally in the Right Direction. And they hear that and they assume that it's referring to like one step at a time. We got to get better. And I've even done talks around that model and it makes perfect sense. But what actually was in my mind when I came up with the title was, what I have learned in life is that people in life want to share what's going on in their head. They want to share what's going on in their minds. But more often than not, they need permission to do so by way of somebody that they respect or someone that they care about or someone they know being the first one to do it. And so that's where One Step Forward really came from for me, was like, I'll be the one to step forward. I will be the one to share what's going on in my life, what's going on in my world, in hopes that it makes somebody else feel less alone. And now subconsciously it gave them permission to share themselves.
Amazing. You know what? It's a huge step. It's not just one step. It is the first step that actually can change, first of all, your life. And you are, by being yourself and giving this real example, you can inspire so many other people and really make this ripple effect, right? So amazing that you have done this. And especially like for me, I'm a neurodivergent. I'm joking now because they say OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. And I said, no, I have no obsessive compulsive superpower. Or I call myself like, OC delicious. Like, next, my tattoo. I love that. I came and like, delicious as a, I will be also delicious. Why not? And I will put it here that everybody can read about this, And
OC delicious.
yeah. And about this one step, I think it's so profound. It's actually not just about step and not just one, because, it's exactly this step that can change really so much, especially for neurodivergent people. Why? Because we live in the world that now we feel that we have to fit in the system, but actually we cannot fit. And we are used to over mask, over hide, over please, over perform, because we are so afraid that we are not good enough, we are not worthy enough. And then for us even to make this one step, it doesn't sound that little at all. Then you really have to process so much, because for us, to be authentical in this world and real, it's a huge luxury. We cannot do this because it's always, then it should be alignment between our internal wiring and external expression. But we are afraid to express because we believe we don't fit in. And actually, what shall we do to be worthy in this society? So this one step, what you're saying, it's huge. It's like, it's just not one step. You have to process the whole, your life and everything, and then actually take this step. And I do believe, especially leaders, leaders, for me, leadership, it's not controlship. It's really stewardship, and leadership, it's visibility and it's responsibility. And if you dare to take this one step responsible and really based on your conscious choice, and you know that you're actually surrounded by neurodivergent people, and stats say that, from 15 until 20% of your workforce is neurodivergent. It's a factor. And now more and more, because we are talking about millennials, 1 per 7 person is neurodivergent. And can you imagine? We are speaking about identified people. This actually has possibility to pay attention, to pay visit to a doctor. But can you imagine, we are 8 billion people and we live all over the world, and how many people has never ever even access to go to the doctor, right? So, I mean, we always have to keep in our mind that whenever we go, actually, it's a tricky one because it's invisible. You are already operating with people with neurodivergence, right? So this one step, what you are doing in your book about, it's actually a huge one. It's amazing. So thank you so much that you have made this step and you dared to inspire us. Amazing. I have to read your book then. What can I say? My book also 4 days ago came my book Permission to Flourish. So now we are bestseller on Amazon. So it's also nice.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
I want to talk about the book here in a second, but before we do that, you were talking about your children and your openness and a dialogue, and I loved everything I was hearing. It was, sort of touching to hear that you're early on talking to them, having these open conversations. But I have to wonder, did you feel permission to do that when you were a kid?
Oh my God. When we are talking about my childhood, everybody asking about me being a kid, I basically even cannot relate to the time I felt I was allowed to be kid because, like I said, I'm made in Soviet, and my childhood was, yeah, very challenging time because my father, unfortunately, he had to fight his own demons and he was addicted to alcohol. He was quite abusive, and at that time I was the only child because later was when I was 9 years old. My mom, she has adopted also another daughter. But yeah, it was very painful experience, and I had to become very wise and grown up very quickly. I didn't have actually this luxury to experience childhood at all, and I was always on survival mode because my mom, she used to work like 24 hours to provide for our family. She used to work in the hospitality at the hotel. At that time in Soviet, it was this crazy schedule, like 24 hours plus, time to get there and to get back. Like it's a couple of days you cannot see your mother. Then I had to stay with my father. And for me, it was basically just 2 days and one night was like, between life and death sometimes because I never knew what kind of adventure it will come in his head. And we didn't have phones at that time, right? And he I was a small girl and he could take me somewhere. He could be drunk there. He could return home and he could be most likely forget me at the place. And when my mom, she came back home, asked where I was, he didn't remember. Like, it was a lot of stuff that my childhood, it was really probation, and I didn't have like Christmas or birthday parties or anything. My only one dream was like to study so hard to provide that one day I will never ever be dependable on actually males or something. I was so scared to be in interaction. So it took me actually many, many years to allow any kind of boy even to be like close to me to approach because I didn't trust. I was always, even my body was like, if somebody was approaching me, like I felt like even reaction in my body, like, So yeah. So no, my childhood, if I was permitted to talk about something like that, of course not. At that time, we didn't have any kind of, now I understand, Will, that probably my father, he was suffering from depression, I think, and anxiety, but at that time it was not allowed to speak about that, and it didn't exist in Soviet. It was like, what do I mean? I never even heard these terms or words when I grew up, so now I feel like kind of pity because maybe he even never had the opportunity by being grown up to disclose it, what he actually has been through. And the alcohol probably was the one solution for him. I don't know. I don't blame him. I don't judge. But no, it's totally different between how actually I raise my kids. But again, my childhood is the key why I have adopted my kids, because since I experienced all of that, it is always like, reaction of everything what is going on in our life. There are two paths. You can go like in victimhood, right? You can feel yourself victim and always blame backwards. Because of that, I became the person like this. Or another way, you can get yourself through like entirely feedback, internal, external feedback, and actually think, what can I do with this experience, right? What can I do and how probably make it and change for kind of creative field for something better, first of all for me, and then even to make the difference in the world. And since I was a kid and actually a little bit like teenager probably. So I passed by orphanage for babies with special needs. Babies were like from 0 until 3. And I went like twice per day when I went to school. And I could see them. It was very painful experience because it was after Soviet time actually, and everything was like so gray, no toys, no colors. Everybody was in the same clothes. Like, it was so painful picture for me. And I understood I was very poor. Like we didn't have much, but I understood even at that time that somebody had even like, less and even experienced even more adversity than me. So it was like another perspective. And then I was kind of swearing that one day I will be working so hard, studying so hard, but I'm coming back to my native city and I will make a change for this orphanage particularly. And I will be adopting kids. And I wanted to adopt especially girls because I knew what I was through when I was a kid. And it's exactly what actually was my purpose, mission, vision for all my life, steady anchor kind of, and faith in God that He would be helping me. And I
want to take a quick pause and thank today's sponsor, High Level. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about burnout. We usually think burnout comes from working too much, but sometimes it just comes from carrying too much mental weight. Every notification, every missed follow-up, every spreadsheet, every app you forgot to check. Good systems that create margin. That's one of the reasons I like High Level. Whether you're a coach, consultant, agency owner, speaker, or growing a small business, it puts your CRM, your scheduling, your email marketing, text messages, funnel, automation, reporting all under one roof. Less bouncing between platforms, less mental clutter, more time to focus on serving people. If you've been thinking your business has gotten more complicated than it needs to be, I'd encourage you to go see what High Level can do for you. There's a link in the description, but also feel free to go to gohighlevel.com/reset. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
done that.
But I always find that fascinating with people and I feel bad saying the word fascinating because it's almost like I'm being clinical about what was a traumatic experience. But so often, all of us, I think, we grew up a certain way, and our plan for our children is to correct on what we felt was wronged in our childhood, whether it's something as severe as what you went through or even something minor, something minor like a relationship with money or relationship with your family as a whole or any of those things. We want to try to change these things slightly or majorly and due to how we were raised. And so I figured that had to be like a key factor for you, because I don't imagine a lot of adults even now in 2026 have the type of conversations you're having with your kids. And I have to imagine it's because you felt alone in your struggle.
Yes, that's for sure. Thank you so much for your feedback. It's one reason. And then the second reason, I try to be completely open with them, like since they came into my life. We are like best friends now, and they're sharing everything with me. I'm so grateful. And like, I'm proud Ukrainian. Everything what's going on now in my country, right? So still, like, even to navigate through the day, I'm from this city where actually still under missiles and bomb every single hour. Right? And I've like lost so many friends, and everything what is going so painful. But I am practicing now every morning and every evening, like meditation, prayer with gratitude, and always my steady anchor is faith, how I have already mentioned. In the morning, I'm like, it doesn't matter because I have to really self-regulate myself so much before opening the phone or start interaction with the like world and everything. But one of the reasons I always like thanking God that now I have adopted these kids, and actually I never felt that like it's adoptive kids or something, because I really felt that this very second when I got the first meeting with both of them, that actually it is my child, like, and the biggest crisis or something, every day I'm thanking that God that I have those angels in my life, and they're the most important what I'm living for, especially when I'm really down, when I have like still my episodes. It's very painful, but even now they are so grown up. They know what's going on with me. They know so much about actually like brain function. They know what is neurodiversity. They know what is OCD, ADHD, for example. And okay, yesterday I was helping one of them to prepare for a test, and it's kind of inspiration for one of my daughters. She wants to be neurosurgeon. She was like, Mama, I know how much you're suffering sometimes, and I want to study brain. I want to be a surgeon, and I want to be a surgeon because one day I want actually to help you, but also to people like you. And we are talking a lot like yesterday, and she's coming all the time now with all these cool, like, Mama, fun facts. I have studied actually, our brain is actually in the liquid. It's actually not fasted like with your bone, blah, blah. I had no idea. I'm like 45 years old. I had no idea that actually our brain it's moving all the time because it's in a liquid. I did believe it's actually like kind of really fixed to our bone. No. And she explained me like 16 years old girl like a couple of days ago that no, that's why we have that and that, because I was like, oh wow, this is so cool, like, and she's like, but Mom, actually when I am neurosurgeon, it will not be allowed for me to make operation for you because you're my mom. But actually she's like, maybe I can marry very cool, very, very cool, like professional neurosurgeon, and he can do it for you. But then she's like, no, he will be also in our family. It will be not allowed for him. But maybe we're just boyfriend and girlfriends. Can you imagine? So we have all these conversations now. Yeah, but it's better like this because, poor teenagers, they have so much now they have to make choice about. And again, when they just open social media all the time, all these traps immediately that somebody like, better, you have to perform. Like your brain immediately is in this trap that it is in comparison with anybody else, right? And we know all these pictures and highlighted reels, they are not true. Actually, it's highlighted, curated, it's filtered. It's not true. But when you open, your brain doesn't know that because it's like all these impulses. It's immediately embrace all these images, and you feel so small. You feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not that and that and that. And statistics now about actually how social media really, really harm our brain, especially teenagers' brain. It's tremendous. We have to do it's pandemic. We have to do something with that. It's really bad.
I think about it a lot. I mean, it's interesting because, as you know, my wife and I had our first kid. And
congratulations! How
what's been
actually? Yeah.
Thank you. But one thing that's funny about it is that we have never posted. He was 2 months old as of last Thursday. We've never posted a picture or anything of him on social media, and we don't plan to. We have no intention of him existing in social media.
No.
When my hope, frankly, and this is coming from someone who is fairly active on social media, but my hope is by the time he's old enough to like where it would make sense, maybe by then they don't care about it. My hope is that generation just like it's like the old person thing, and maybe I never have to make that decision. But either way, like I don't judge anybody who doesn't, or does things differently. But for me, there's so much nastiness on there. There's so many people. I mean, I see it with some of my content. The amount of negative stuff I get from time to time out of nowhere. And to me, it's just like, why would I want to invite that for a child? Even my wife, I really don't tag her or post about her anymore. I'll refer to her as my wife, but I don't say her name. And now if you dig enough, you'll find it. It's not hard to find, but I've made it a concerted effort to kind of separate what I do in this world and my family, because I signed up for this. They did. So
exactly.
I completely agree. There's a pandemic, and I don't know what the answer is to how he regulated with kids. I don't know. You could say put restrictions on, but we were all kids once. You show me a 10-foot wall, I'm going to show you an 11-foot ladder. I don't know that that's as easily done as we think it'll be. So I don't know the answer. The best way I've always seen to make it make sense is build up your kids' self-esteem so much that they don't seek validation from other people on the internet.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you can protect them from a lot.
I completely agree, but this is so challenging. This is so difficult, right? It's even not just difficult for them. It's difficult for us already. We are like grown up persons with other type of awareness, consciousness, and cognitive preparedness, and still we sometimes can be caught in this trap. That if that's why I'm like saying every morning, the last thing I can imagine now that if I awaken and I start like scrolling or something, like I really have to go through my rituals to be prepared for the day, to talk like cognitively with my brain, right? And to make psychological contracts with my brain, how I approach all of that stuff. Because if you just immediately open that, oh my God, look at everybody is so perfect. Everybody is like rocket scaling, achieving something, and you still like laying like, with all this like, oh my God, where I should like start my day, how I should start approaching all this like, to do huge list. And for me, like now I have like my parents, they're refugees. I have to take care of them. They live in a new country. They can, of course, not speak the language or everything. They're like babies for me now, both of them, right? We have lost everything there. Then I have 2 teenagers with hormones, and one of them is neurodivergent, right? My husband after heart operation. My dog, she needs attention. My OCD, of course, loves to have attention. My PhD, and if I like first second of my 24 hours open Instagram with all this, oh my God, even I know inside that this is not true what I'm like watching on these like highlight reels, but I have to actually tremendously investing in my time cognitively afterwards to talk to myself that, but you know what, this is not true. It's a lot of effort, time and energy and health for me. Because I know now from neuroscience that actually how all this information affects, and actually it's impulses from outwards to inwards. It's not what we are produced, but how we proceed it, right? So no. I'm not doing this anymore, but I know how harmful it is for teenagers because they don't do it, right? They immediately like in the phone, like, okay, somebody has new phone, somebody has, got this new cool gift there or clothes, a lot of like it's stimulation of the time that actually it's like kind of signal. We live in the era which is called not enough, never enough, because we don't even like use our time to digest and like celebrate small wins. We then again we have to like immediately proceed to achieve something more better, more expensive, more colorful, more something that and that and that. Even on Instagram, more views, more that, more comments, right? It's like never ending if you don't talk to yourself actually. So come on, stop, please. You really don't have to judge yourself or I don't know, like experience yourself towards the input you got from external world. But it's very difficult even for us, even for you and me, I'm sure, because even we are in this podcast wheel, and sometimes like you say, like, oh my God, why I'm not already there? What can I do to be already there? But I'm like, oh, stop. Look, people, they look at us already. Oh my God, look at her. She already have achieved that and that, right? But for me now, last month, especially probably, I found kind of my way that in this morning, like meditation with gratitude, I also feel I'm every day finishing with these words for me. And it's so strange because I speak like so many languages. I'm thinking like, mostly on Norwegian and Russian, but exactly these words, I don't know, they are giving me most effect because I do believe in God. And then I'm talking to God and saying, you know what, God, I'm so grateful for everything what you're like giving me immediately. It's a blessing. I'm grateful. Everything what actually you don't give to me immediately or actually taken away from me, I'm still grateful because then you are protecting me from something. And I'm still grateful for every like thing that actually you kind of give me a signal and think that, Valeriya, you should wait. Then I'm grateful and I take it as you are preparing me for something. And then like, I said, okay, because so many times now, like so frustrated, even when we're having like podcasts and you kind of schedule something, you should be a guest or you should be hosting somebody. And I'm sure it has happened in your life as well. And all of a sudden, 3 minutes before show, it was like canceled or something, right? Have experienced that? Yeah. Not maybe just with podcasts, but I mean like, and first reaction can be like so frustrating. And then if you're not like, you say, okay, something wrong with me, or we're like most likely think that there's actually, we are the cause of something wrong with us or that and what, and right. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm completely in your divine flow. You decided that this is the best way for today. And actually, let me trust you that it will be still, if it should be, it will be happening. If it's actually even not, it's still the best for me. But I have to work on myself, of course. It's self-discipline. But with any type of work, if you would like to get result, you have to work, right? Is it discipline, perseverance? Like, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
It is. And there's a lot to unpack there. But that last part about perseverance and like keep pushing forward then, because then I have to ask, because you mentioned the God portion of this and, putting things in the path, you also have a book coming out. So how do you balance between what is God's plan, but also what is your own self-discipline to achieve something like writing a book?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's exactly like how much, and I don't have really like simple answer. Let's be honest, because every single day is different. And sometimes and also it is very connected with the condition which I am now. I mean, like, because disorder, unfortunately, is like not how you can fix it for once or you can grow out of that. It's like, no, you have to learn how to live with that. So it's a lot of factors which actually you can, navigate between. So that's why if I sometimes kind of lazy and the morning, like, okay, I don't need to do this, my rituals, and I have so much to do that I don't have time for that couple of days, actually, if I feel that I don't do it, so, and I believe in that way I can be more efficient, actually no, because at some point I have so much, like, layer on layer on layer on layer, and it's so much that also it causes me cognitive overload that all of a sudden after so many tasks I can like feel really, okay, it's paralysis. Now I cannot do anything. Now I just have to stop. And then I'm start like really feeling what was the cause? Why actually I was like, more regulated my nervous system a couple of days ago. So I'm trying to balance and I'm trying to get feedback, internal feedback every single evening and night after the day. What actually maybe I should have done in another way. But again, I'm still people pleaser recover, you know? So I'm still like self-questioning, self-doubting myself all the time. So did I do this right or wrong? So I'm still there, but then like, Valeriya, stop. Actually, that's why I have invented this 5 enabler method, which I'm trying to practice every day myself. And the first one, it's empathize. It's like we should be really empathetic towards people when you interact, because like I've already mentioned, you have it's a disability like neurodivergence. You don't see it, right? It's a tricky one that even when you're talking with me now, and if I didn't mention it, maybe you would not be guessing that actually I'm having those periods, right? Or there's something wrong, or there's something not like typical with me. And I do believe in every interaction we are both students and teachers. For me, I am always like hungry to gain new knowledge every single day. And I really believe that from every single interaction, it's so impactful. It's like you are changing my life just right now. That even 2 hours ago, I was one person, but after interaction with you, I'm already the new version of myself. And it's every day like this, right? And I mean, like, because in every interaction, we are going already with kind of baggage on our shoulders, or we put like our glasses of judgment. This is something strange, or we are very nice to put labels immediately, or we can have like beginner smile, like, really open mind and approach of not judgmental approach, but like we can start from empathy, really. But the most important, we should start from empathy towards ourselves, because we are our harshest critics all the time, right? And I'm still learning that as well, because nobody actually even mentioned when I grew up that I'm enough as I am. I'm unique voice, which actually matters or something, because I was like part and brick of the system that I had to serve all the time. And all of a sudden now I have so many around me that I immediately can be pushed. And I feel that I'm here just to serve everybody. So it's a balance, but I'm working on myself every single day. I can be honest. And I'm journaling. I meditate. Like one of the also method is like just to speak about and like verbalize, to talk about this. And I'm so happy that I have friends that I can talk about this openly. So yeah, it's every single work, it's a single every single day's work, because if everybody believes it's it's like magic like this. No, it's like a muscle, right? You cannot get your muscle for one day. You have to practice every day, at least a little bit. The same with the brain muscle. You have to work every single day. So that's my not secret at all, actually. You have to do it because people, they would like to change the world and they know what other people should do, but they don't want to change themselves because it's a hard job, right? Especially when you are like not that young, you have already have so many patterns, so much luggage, cognitive luggage, that you believe, oh, then I should start actually changing that. No, it's a lot of work, but we have to do this work.
It is. And it's a constant battle I think we all have to face, is just trying to figure out, am
Do you
I
have
enough?
your
Am I
like
doing
special
enough?
tips? Will, do you have like every single day how you regulate yourself actually? How you don't put yourself in this trap, like comparing yourself with others? Or do you have any tricks, like, how you navigate your emotional status? Or all of a sudden we're on my
The
show
biggest
and
one
I'm
that
asking you.
No, it's okay. It's a good question. Sometimes it's fun to mix it up and be asked the question on here. The biggest thing that I try to take away every single day is, if I was trying to simplify it for somebody listening, am I proud of what I did today?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You could talk about multiple step routines and different things, and that's getting into the details of stuff. But if you're trying to look for one very simple, practical thing to accomplish and just to walk away knowing if you did enough or not, is, are you proud of what you did today? You specifically. Don't worry about what anybody else in your life is. Are you proud? Can you walk away from work today and say, you know what? I did a really good job at work today. I'm really proud of the effort I put in today. Whether it's, or your home life. It's, hey, I'm really proud of the effort I put forward as a father, as a partner, as somebody who is contributing in my community, whatever the case. I walked away from that exchange and I'm proud of what I did. Because the answer is one or two things. Either it's yes, you are, and then that's all that really matters at the end of the day. You're proud of it. Let's work forward. Let's tweak things and let's move forward. And if you're not, then ask yourself why you didn't do enough to make yourself proud. Is it motivation? Mm-hmm. Is it a lack of resources? But you can't get there if you don't truly ask that question. So that's probably my biggest thing, is just asking myself every day, am I proud of what I put forward today?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And actually relates very much to one of the enablers, number 3, which is evaluate. It's actually the same, like you can get your internal, very honest feedback talking to yourself. Because it's the most important, like you said, that it's not what others mean. Because sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, actually, what we are talking to ourselves about, how we judge, are the most important. Because everybody in the world can say, you know what, look what you have done, you have achieved. But if you don't feel it in yourself, right, that no, it's not enough for me, that nobody can actually really plant this feeling into you. And sometimes, even now, last particularly maybe 10 days, one of the reflections when I'm doing all this internal feedback loop with me in the evenings, in the night, I'm like, okay, what did I do today? And then I'm like, you know what, Valeriya, thank you so much. I did my best.
And exactly. And you felt proud of that. And you can know that, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Because, there's always going to be somebody who's going to nitpick this or nitpick that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take outside feedback from anybody at all, but start at the base of, am I proud of what I put forward today?
Exactly.
Yes or no. If it's no, why? And then you move forward. So, I could ask you a million questions about the 5, enabler plan. I could, there's so many things I want to know about, but I want to know a little bit more about your book as we're kind of closing out this conversation. And of course, you're always welcome back here, but I want to know a little bit more about this book you put out.
Yes, thank you so much. It's a new experience for me, though. Okay, I am into writing, of course, because I have 2 masters and now I'm done with PhD part of writing, right? So I'm just waiting for the date to the fans. So, oh my God, writing. But it was very nice experience. I'm co-author of this book, which is called Permission to Flourish. And it was very nice experience. It's first of all about the feeling of belongingness and community, because it was other people where we shared our stories, especially when it was launching party and everything. And for me, it was like therapeutical as well. I know actually it was for you. I could really do my work, and I know that you started your blog and it was very therapeutical for you. And I admire you for sharing your story so much. So, I believe because my chapter is called From OCD to PhD in 5E Enabler. And it's like the journey between patient and doctor. And it's funny now, it's true because soon I'm doctor, but actually I'm most of the life now since I was diagnosed that I'm a patient as well. And that's why I'm trying to be humble and open and show the people that you know what? At the end of the day, we are so unique, all of us. Our voices are matters. We should not be afraid to share our stories because you really don't know how this one single story can change anybody's life. Like I already mentioned this word in the beginning, we should never underestimate the power of our stories because I know the feeling of loneliness when I felt so like desperate in the beginning. And I know how many people now, neurodivergent people, are suffering in silence. They are so afraid to share because they don't know how actually this can really affect their life. Because I'm so happy and blessed now. I have the family; they are very supportive. My husband, parents, my kids, my friends. They all know what's going on, and now I'm actually sharing with the whole world my story. And I believe it's not a weakness at all. It's a strength because if anybody believes it's so easy to stop everything what is going on your like daily basis, take your car, and drive to the mental institution and said, actually I know 100% that I'm not okay now. I need help. Can you please admit me here? So just try it. Just try this hobby. It's not that easy at all. But I want to encourage people that there are a lot of tools and ways now that they should not feel isolated and alone. And really, it's not their fault that they experience like intrusive thoughts or all these conditions, right? They're not ashamed. They should not feel like guilt or fault or shame. I've been through that so many times, really. And even like speaking about this or writing about this, it's so therapeutic, so liberating. So my chapter was about my story, about my Pishcast, which I call it my podcast, but Pishcast, which I started being there and sharing my story. And then it's how your book about first step. So for me as well, now by sharing my story, so immediately I kind of give permission to people on my show to be as vulnerable as possible. They also then feel this safe space and arena. Oh my God, I'm not alone. Also, actually, I can share my story and not be judged. So it's very, very important that I should show like more vulnerability in this very challenging time, especially now, like what's happening all over the world. We live every single day under so much pressure, stress, and uncertainty. We never know what kind of world we will be waking into. So that's why we need our steady anchor, our like vulnerability, trust, self-love, self-compassion. And by doing this, we can really make an example for people around us that they also can feel that toward themselves. Doesn't matter how they're wired, that they matter. They're unique. It's not weakness, it's unique, cognitive unique.
Love it. The conversation came full circle to the idea. It's cognitive uniqueness. That's a beautiful way to end this episode. So Valeriya, if people are looking to stay in contact with you, if they're looking to follow you on other things beyond this podcast, where can they find you?
Yes, thank you so much, Will. Of course, first of all, they should find me on your beautiful show. Yes, and I'm wishing you many, many nice shows, and I would be more than happy to participate. And now I'm like a little bit not only I'm occupied, I'm launching new product, new organization with my friend and co-partner. I'm flying to Berlin in 3 days to make a video content for our new course. We have established company which is called Your Neurodiversity Edge, and we will be teaching about neurodiversity leadership in practice. We already teach at Howard University and for individuals. Now we are making new course for corporates. So it will be very soon at the website Your Neurodiversity Edge. But for now, you can find me on Instagram, Valeriya Hjertenaes, Mrs. All Congeniality, or LinkedIn, Valeriya Hjertenaes. And the site which is about me now, it's Valeriya Impact Global, but very soon it will be more about Your Neurodiversity Edge. And this is the project I'm very proud of. We are building, me and Claire Z, my new partner and very good friend. She has ADHD, so we were like, I'm OC delicious, she's ADHD delicious or something. So we will be trying to help by our experience, our knowledge, our expertise, everything to make a program that can inspire so many people to also believe in their mental cognitive uniqueness. Thank you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, as always, everybody, be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of Sunday Reset. And I want to thank High Level for making today's episode possible. If today's conversation reminded you that growth isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, the same idea has to apply to your business. Build better systems so you can spend more time building better relationships. You can learn more at the link in the show notes. And as always, thank you for spending your Sunday with me. I'll see you next week for another episode of Sunday Reset.